Hey, folks, it's Myron from the Top Dot Wrestling Podcast. Tonight, this is another episode of your favorite indie wrestling live to tape talk show, Shoots Fired. And I am joined tonight by probably my first guest in all of podcasting history when we first started this great endeavor, Bobby Mathews. How are you doing tonight, Bobby?
I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit.
Yes, sir. One of the most knowledgeable wrestling writers I know, and also a referee, a Southern Legacy referee. Now, how did they have to like check you for trustworthiness or like go back and validate you as far as honest and totally not influenced by any wrestlers or anything like that?
You know, here's the thing. If you're going to check a wrestling referee for honesty, you're going to be there a while. You know, it's we're just as crooked in this business as everybody else. And I don't mean even crooked in a dishonest way. I mean, we're just all comedian Bill Engvall puts it like this, like about 15 degrees off of cool is how he describes himself. We're all about 15 degrees off of honest.
You're still the most honest person at a wrestling show.
That's absolutely cool. You've worked with some of those promoters, have you?
Promoters are an interesting breed. It's a learning curve for them, like dealing with people like me who just want to shoot good and way things are taken, or just want to, love to do some interviews and talk stuff, run some free publicity.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get the media, and I'm not considering myself media. I'm not a journalist. I don't know if anyone can be a journalist about current wrestling. Like past wrestling, you write great journalistic stories about, because anything going on today, it's like doing movie reviews, because it's all subjective.
It is all subjective. The business has changed a lot. So one of the things that I do with Southern Legacy Wrestling is let's just be upfront, I am not just a referee. I also am the lead agent, or at least I was the last time I attended a show, which means a lot of the guys come in and give me their ideas for their matches as they're laying them out, and I can either approve them or say, hey, no, this doesn't work, or, we're going to have 75 people here tonight. Why the hell are you going to do a backflip from the top rope to the floor? That sort of thing. Why are you going to do that in front of 75 people? Wait until there's 750 people in a building.
I see that a lot. There's a lot of guys who love to take the big shots on small shows.
Yeah. Well, what they're wanting to do is get noticed. They're wanting to. That's not about the show. That's not about the show that they're on. That's about somebody videotaping it and them hoping it gets out there and gets them more bookings.
Get your shit in. You got to
get their shit in so that they can be impressive where it might not fit for the entirety of the show.
That's cool, man. You got a larger role in wrestling. That's great to hear.
It's great. Fun. It's fun.
I'm having a glass of this Woodbridge by Robert Mondavi, Cabernet Sauvignon. I'm trying to class up my show a little bit by drinking, but this tastes like somebody pissed in Strawberry Hill. That's the best way I can describe it.
I am drinking a little bit of Alabama whiskey.
Yes, I have seen that at the liquor store.
So,
which is that Clyde Hayes or
Clyde? No, the Clyde Mays is Alabama style, and that shit's made in Tennessee, so we don't drink that.
Oh,
actually, I have no idea on earth what the name of this is because it escapes me. This is about my second glass. So
now, you don't prefer a little ice cube in your whiskey?
I want you to give it to me straight, Myron.
Okay, well, that's what we're doing here on Shoots Fired. It's the most authentic wrestling podcast videotaping thing anyone does these days. I fancy myself as a rogue Dave Meltzer.
As a rogue Dave Meltzer.
Rogue Dave Meltzer.
Well, okay. Nah.
Fuck
Dave, he's gone corporate.
Fuck Dave, yes. 5 stars to that. So I
get back to him, because everything weird in wrestling does.
Speaking of 5 stars, I hear y'all have a lot of 5-star matches over at Southern Legacy Wrestling.
Well, just the ones that I'm involved with. So we've got a pretty good little promotion there. It runs 3 to 5 shows a month.
Wow.
Tapes TV. Yeah. I mean, not bad.
Yeah, not if you're drawing 3 to 5 shows a month, that's pretty impressive.
Well, I didn't say we were drawing. I said we were running. That's totally different. Here's the thing. In all honesty, Alabama wrestling has been down for a long time. It is not currently down. There's tons of good promotions and one really shitty one that I've basically been instructed by Booker Jack Lord not to name. So I won't name that one. But
person, and he looks like somebody who could like hit me one time and I'd turn into a puddle of mud.
Well, you could probably outrun him.
No, really, I can't.
Jack's got a bad back. That's the only reason that I can get away with some of the shit that I say.
He referred, when I met him, he referred to you as the only liberal he likes.
Well, yeah, that's probably actually accurate. I love Jack to death. Jack, honestly, is the reason that I'm associated with SLW. Have a ton of respect for him. He has a lot more patience than I do. Part of that is because he's older than I am, and he's seen a lot more than I have. You know, I am probably a lot more likely to say, you know, what the fuck is wrong with you to somebody, whereas Jack is much gentler with a lot of the younger talent. Jack is a pretty skilled booker, and let me tell you a little bit about behind the scenes. So Jack is booking along with Barry Buchanan. Raise your glass if you know who Barry is. The former WWE superstar Bull Buchanan. And Bull's son Ben is training to become a wrestler, and I've actually been able to be in the ring and help train him a little bit.
Well, that's awesome. So
when Ben signs his first WWE contract, all I'm asking for is 10%.
Yes. Well, that's reasonable.
That absolutely reasonable, right? So, and then there's a female wrestler / partial owner. I'm just exposing everybody's business here. Veronica Fairchild, who's just a hell of a talent. And I'm trying to think who else am I. I'm most likely leaving somebody out, but it is what it is.
The wrestling business is typically huge.
Yeah.
Performing tasks that change dramatically on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Oh, I cannot leave out. I'm sorry. I cannot leave out DJ, and I will not use his last name to try to preserve a little bit of kayfabe. DJ and also Johnny Slaughter. So, and if you don't know who Johnny is he is a wrestler who should not exist. Johnny is the guy who. Sorry, I've got some pet hair on my keyboard here. So, Johnny is Bumblebee, all right? Johnny is Bumblebee in the fact that with his body shape, he should not be able to do the shit that he can do. Like it's a law against nature.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So he's a Bam Bam Bigelow type.
He is not nearly that large, but just he is an incredibly skilled wrestler, and he can wrestle, but he can work also, if that makes sense. There's an absolute difference. So his finish is what is called a manslaughter, and I know you've seen a Northern Lights suplex, right? So his finisher is basically a Northern Lights suplex where he back bridges up to his feet after throwing it.
Oh. And
it looks like he breaks his neck every time he does it.
Wow, that's going to take some skill.
Well, it really does. The thing is, Johnny started out at 6'4", and now he's 5'10". After love him to death, hell of a talent, really great guy. So I'm gonna sing some people's praises, but I'll tell you
that Sean Legacy you've been singing his praises.
Man, have you seen him?
I'm going to get to see him soon. November 2nd, I'm going up to a show in Canton.
Okay,
I can't wait.
So Sean Legacy, based out of Augusta, Georgia. absolutely has the look of a superstar. Handsome kid, great body, super athletic, and the other thing is he's also willing to do whatever you ask of him.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. So we have him running as a heel, and that is not his preferred style. He likes to work babyface. Mm-hmm. But when he comes out and he works heel, he works as hard as a heel as he can, and just embraces it with everything that he's got. And all of his stuff looks good. All of his stuff looks crisp. Love him to death. Phenomenal talent.
Cool.
Expect to see him have a WWE contract at any moment.
I can. The way you spoke about him, I would guarantee that.
You'll love him when you see him. I swear.
How is the Fight TV deal going? Y'all record once a month, or what is it?
We record 2 hours of TV every 2 weeks. We record in your hometown of Munford, Alabama.
Oh yeah, well down the road, but yes, my mother was a teacher at Munford.
Okay.
That it was.
So, and people come out to the matches, and they pile in a lot of times because there's not a whole lot to do in Munford.
I don't.
So I mean, you could go to the Jack's restaurant or
lovely biscuits.
Yes.
People at Jack's make lovely biscuits.
They do. They wear those brown pants. You look at them as they walk away from you. They look like they've been hit in the back of the legs with a bag of nickels. I don't even want to eat now.
Speaking of eating, I haven't been eating biscuits. I'm on the slow carb. But you are someone who's taken on a massive health kick, right? Are you still in the gym, Bob?
I've actually, so I hurt my shoulder and I have been off for a little bit, but at some point I was down from 285 to 235. So
excellent. Now, do you put yourself down with like a spray bottle before you take your gym pictures? Or are you actually sweating?
I'm actually sweating.
You got the whole Shawn Michaels thing going on.
Absolutely. Well, I need to get that like bandana thing that he's got fixed where his hat would fall off.
Oh, yeah. I saw somebody said that he looks like somebody running one of the rides at a carnival these days.
That's fair. That's fair. Although he has more teeth.
Yes.
So,
teeth. That's why I'm at a shortage.
So Munford, we run the Fight TV tapings twice a month. So basically, it's 2 hours of wrestling every 2 weeks. The first Saturday in a month and the third Saturday in a month in Munford. And then we're also running Lincoln, Alabama regularly as well. So you're talking 3 to 5. And then we are also picking up spot shows in other places too. So you're talking 3 to 5 shows per month. And we're very lucky in that we have got some really good talent. At the top of the card, you're seeing a guy named Stephen, the Alpha Wolf. And I have just, this is what happens when I start getting this right here.
You're not.
Anyway, Stephen Michaels. Stephen Michaels is just a heck of a talent, a great guy behind the scenes as well. One of the nice things about Stephen is he doesn't realize a lot of times that he is one of the veterans in the locker room. And then when it dawns on him, you kind of have this, oh, wait, it's me. So Stephen's a heck of a good talent. He also throws one of the hardest clotheslines. And this is an absolute shoot. There was one night I was working as a referee for one of his matches, and somebody, he clotheslined a kid, and I heard somebody in the third row in Munford go, "Fuck!" Like it sounds like, so the clothesline that he throws, it sounds like somebody getting chopped. I mean, it's a stiff clothesline.
That's impressive because nobody throws a really good clothesline anymore like they used to back in the old days. I mean, sure, in the old days.
Yeah, it's nowadays you see guys who will trail their arm a lot as opposed to get out in front with it, which is it's just a difference in technique, and it makes it makes the clothesline look a lot weaker.
Mhm.
You know, that's one of the nice things about Southern Legacy is that you don't have to come out and do like a Canadian destroyer in the middle.
Not a lot of double axe handle flying, what, at 450 splashes and shit like that.
No, we had a guy try a flying blowjob one time. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah, that one up in my glossary of wrestling terms.
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt it's anything you would really see perform successfully.
Well, we try to keep it a family-friendly show, but you know,
I saw a video of the Iron Sheik saying he used to get snort cocaine while standing on his hands. So if he could,
I believe that actually, you know.
Yeah, break your back.
So I also want to I want to toot somebody's horn real quick, and he's probably a guy that you've seen before. A guy named Jackson Vile.
Yeah, I've seen him before. I have not seen him a lot, but I have.
Jackson is here's the thing. Jackson can go in the ring, but he also has his gimmick down really, really well for us. He works that gimmick so well from the moment he steps out of the curtain. You can't tell that he's one of the nicer guys in the back. Everybody hates him.
That's good.
So got to throw that out there with him.
And I met your friend. I've known who Bobby Flacco was, but I met him and introduced myself at when I did the commentary for a show a while back. And
okay,
he's quite the nice guy.
Oh, I like Bobby Flacco, and Flacco can work. He is also one of the guys who he wants to steal the show every night, and that's admirable. That is an admirable quality, right? Except if you're in the middle of the show, we got to follow this. You know what I mean? So, and it's not that guys can't do some of the things that he can do, but where you're placed in the card is part of the overall show. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
So I love the fact that Bobby Flacco goes out and he works his ass off. He really does. I want him to tone down some things just because he's got guys who follow behind him that if they do the same things that he does, they're going to be taking bigger risks because they're not 175, they're 240, you know?
Do that. You can't do that at a certain weight. And he's a really flying, moving around, active guy.
He is.
Speedy Gonzalez.
And he is also he's also one of the guys who really buys into the, hey, let's do the drives, let's get on this show, let's get out there. He is very, very driven to succeed, and I think he will. I think he keeps on with it. The other thing, Bobby can do just about anything in the ring, right? Well, one of the things that just talking to him, I was like, we gotta get your character over a little bit more. We got to get you to get a handle on your character a little bit more. I want you to go get a hot dog from the stand over there, from the concession stand, and while your partner's in the ring tearing it up, I want you to lay down in your corner on one arm and just eat your hot dog. You know, I mean, stuff like that. Hey, show some personality. Show something different.
Now, do they do the Red Mexican gimmick there?
They do.
Everywhere over here, I see him. He's pretty over. Of course, he does some videos where he's trying to plant things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I like his partner, Cav. Cav has a move that should be, and I'm really shooting here. Cav has a move that should be his signature finishing move. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what it is because one day he'll unveil it and it's phenomenal. He cannot use it with us because it makes somebody else's finishing move look bad. Not even look bad, but what he's doing is what he's pulling off with his finish there is harder to do and actually is more impactful than the established main eventer's finish.
Yes.
So it's like when Chris Jericho and Lance Storm went into Smoky Mountain, and the Rock and Roll Express are on top, and they're using a double drop kick as a finish. And Jericho and Storm come in, and they use a double drop kick from opposite corners off the top rope.
Yeah.
You know?
You have to put the Rock and Roll over first.
Exactly. So you can't come in there and Bigfoot the main eventer, you know?
Oh, yes. I totally get it. And speaking of rock and roll, I've met Robert Gibson a couple times now, and he is so damn cool.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
He is. He sounds like he spent the last 20 years of his life gargling gravel.
Yes. Yes.
But Robert's awesome. And if he likes you, the first thing he'll do is he'll teach you a really cool way of locking up where nobody can take you in a headlock.
Oh.
So he must not have liked you.
No. I'm not a wrestler. I make people know I'm not a wrestler. You don't judge me on my physique and assume I'm a wrestler. Now, Robert Fuller once suggested Nick and I form a tag team because we dress similarly. So we're, it's like branding. We wear our gym shorts everywhere we go. So people recognize us. Like Tom Pritchard recognized us at Superstars.
Oh, that's great.
But it's really not as much. We're more memorable for it's two fat guys and branded shirts and gym shorts than we are for anything else we do.
Right.
We're like walking billboards for what we do.
So when I met Robert Fuller,
did he ask you for money too?
Yes. Robert Fuller is one guy. I won't even say anything necessarily bad about Robert, but after all of the stories that I had heard about Robert, about how personable he was behind the scenes and whatnot, he might have just been having an off night. But I got to referee a match involving him and Jimmy Golden at Wrestle Birmingham. And I wasn't even on the card. I had actually just brought my gear, and they had two referees down. So myself and my protege both got to referee that card that night. Got to work the main event involving James Storm, which was really cool. But it's one of those things where Robert Fuller just was not as advertised. I don't know if he was having a bad night, but he was just kind of surly. And you know what they say, surly to bed and surly to rise. It's that's just a middle-aged joke for you guys.
I loved he was in his Colonel Parker suit when I met him and his New Balance dad shoe.
Yeah. That's exactly what he was wearing. I had heard how, like great storyteller, blah, blah, blah. So I'm expecting some really good stuff. I go to talk with him and Jimmy Golden about the finish to their match. And he says, "Oh, just get with Jimmy." And he walks away, kind of big time me a little bit. Wouldn't talk to me at all. It's all right. That's cool. That's fine. But Jimmy Golden, on the other hand, was just a gem, just as nice as he could be. Fantastic guy. And if you ever see the video of that, there's a point where I'm out of position by about that. Okay. Jimmy is working in the corner and sees that I'm a little bit out of position. And on the back swing of one of his punches, touches me on the shoulder and nudges me sideways and brings back the punch. And I am like, all right.
Man, that's amazing that those guys can, at their age, still give you a cue and throw a punch at the same time.
Jimmy Golden will never get the credit he deserves, but he is a phenomenal talent.
About a year ago in South Georgia, and that's where I actually got to meet Ron Fuller.
Okay.
And he still was going like it was 1978.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't have to take a lot of bumps. He doesn't have to do a whole lot. The guy that I've gotten to interview Ron Fuller, and I like Ron Fuller, and you want to talk about a bullshit artist.
Yes.
Ron, and not that he's not knowledgeable, not that he's not smart, because he absolutely is, but he will kayfabe the shit out of you.
Well, the thing I like that. I like the fact that when I get to a bullshit artist, but the shit doesn't stink, and just work me, and I enjoy it, and I'm totally marking out. I'm getting the full experience I wanted as a wrestling fan.
Nice.
Because what are you going to do? I mean, you really want to meet like Randy Orton, who tries to pull his dick out while he's shaking your hand, or somebody who just blows you off. Ron Fuller works you like he was still a showman, and that's what I love about dealing with him.
Absolutely. And there are parts, and I look at it though, when I'm interviewing somebody for a story, okay? When I'm interviewing somebody, I don't want them to work me, because if I'm asking a question a lot of times, I already know kind of what the answer is.
Yeah.
What I want is to hear the story in their words.
I got you.
And so I got to interview one of my heroes, the inimitable, indomitable.
I was going to ask about that one.
James E. Cornette.
How did that go? Because I mean, I'm fascinated by Mr. Cornette. I follow his every move.
Well, you have to look at it like this. Jim Cornette is crazy.
Yes.
Okay. He is crazy in a lot of good ways. One of the ways that he is crazy is I think he has some OCD and very nearly photographic memory.
It's amazing when he recalls stuff on the show.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's like I don't remember what I had for breakfast.
So during this interview, I'm asking him about guys that nobody remembers, like Ricky Gibson, Robert Gibson's older brother, who was one of the best wrestlers in the South ever, to the point where when Harley Race saw him, Harley Race wanted to put the NWA world title on him.
Wow.
Like, that's how good Ricky Gibson was. And that's not a story that I've ever heard from Robert Gibson.
Now, Robert, when I went up to Robert's school, we'd been invited to come up and say hi to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What he did was show me a picture of his brother, and had I not known who the picture was, because he goes, I'm like, yes, sir. And it's like, and he was quite emphatic about showing us the picture.
Mm-hmm. His brother, like, he will tell you that his brother was the really talented one. And when you are in the ring with Robert and realize how good he is now, even though he's older and he's not nearly as mobile and he's not as flexible as he was, he's still really good.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Still really, really smooth in the ring. And when you get that and you're like, okay, his brother was better than he was. And I have seen Ricky Gibson in person. I have seen him wrestle. I saw him prior to the car wreck and after the car wreck. Night and day different.
Yeah.
But still amazing, still could work, And it's one of the kind of tragedies that nobody knows who he really is, or who he really was, since he's passed on since then. So I got to talk with Jim Cornette about Ricky Gibson. I got to talk with him about guys like Tony Charles and Salento Rodriguez. And these are guys who were active when I first started wrestling, and when I first started watching wrestling in 1976.
Mm-hmm. Probably about the same time for me, maybe a year.
Yeah. So you're
watching the same program.
Yeah. Pretty close, I'm sure. So guys like Tony Charles was Adrian Street's tag team partner in Britain for a long time. And he was a great guy in the locker room. He was also he was about 5'5", really in shape, and was a shooter.
Yeah.
Like a legit badass British shooter.
Well, that British style was most of the guys coming out of there were hardcore like that.
Absolutely. If Tony Charles got his hands on you and he didn't like you, he could hurt you. It's like I have seen Adrian Street legitimately tie up Austin Idol and basically say, enough of this nonsense. And at the time, I didn't realize it was a shoot. I didn't realize what was going on. But, Adrian is shorter than I am. I'm 5'7" on a good day. Adrian's about 5'5", 5'4". And that's in the 1 or 2 inch boots.
Yeah.
Um, and I love the fact that that guy could wrestle his ass off, and he could really genuinely hurt people if he wanted to.
Watching on TV, you really didn't get the thing that he was shorter.
Right.
He was so, his presence was so great.
Yep.
And I've got someone I would consider a friend who is a wrestler that was actually trained by him.
Mm-hmm.
And I do a lot of interviews with him, kayfabe and stuff. We have a great time. But the main reason I do it is because when he's actually like let something slip about training with Adrian through,
Mm-hmm.
it's cool to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adrian would like show him one move and then spend 2 hours walking the ring talking to him about
mm-hmm.
why that was important.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty cool.
And little things like, so I called Adrian when he was living in Gulf Breeze, Florida. I called him to interview him. And this is my favorite Adrian Street thing. Called him to interview him. He took 45 minutes to tell me that he didn't have enough time to talk to me.
That's awful.
Yes, sir. You know, and then, so he spent 45 minutes telling me he didn't have time enough to talk to me, and then about 30 minutes answering questions.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that, you know? Great
great characters of wrestling from.
Oh, absolutely. He also told me, and this is a quote that I could not use for the story that I was interviewing him for. This was just after Dusty Rhodes had passed, and you know everyone had been saying what a great guy, what a legend, and everything that Dusty was, and rightly so. And Adrian had a little bit different view of it. Adrian said, "Well, you know, if they had hung him for being a wrestler, they would have killed an innocent man." Come to find out, the reason that Adrian is still pretty heated up with Dusty is because Dusty fucked him in payoffs when they were both working a main event feud in Florida back in either the late 70s or early 80s. So Adrian held a grudge.
Well, Adrian, I would hold a grudge, and I'm assuming that if Dusty would still be alive, he'd still be trying to find him to do something about that grudge. I mean, he was that's that guy from my impression of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait to see the documentaries coming out about him.
Oh, absolutely. Adrian is phenomenal, and any attention that he gets, especially here in his old age after being a cancer survivor, and
still fit, incredibly fit. You see pictures of him, and it's like amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. For a guy who's in his 70s, come on.
Well, yeah. I mean, our superstars are starting to get older and older. I mean, they're like my mother's age. And I've met Bob Armstrong, Tom Pritchard, Ron Fuller. Now, most of this has been connections I've made through you. Thank you.
No, I try. It's what I get. It's what I do.
Does the Dirty White Boy ever do anything?
I need to actually get in touch with Tom Pritchard and ask him.
Because I haven't seen him on a show. I haven't seen him on a reunion.
I haven't either.
He was at one time he was like a authority figure for a promotion in Knoxville, but I have not. That's all I've ever heard of him, and I saw that on Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm. I was actually thinking about this. He would be a great interview because of his history in Southeastern Continental and in Memphis, but also because of his teaming with Len Denton.
Yeah, as the grappler.
As the grapplers and the Dirty White Boys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, who was the nicest of the guys that you have met?
They've all been super nice.
Okay.
Honestly, meeting Bob was like meeting my grandfather. If my grandfather was nicer, well, he's passed away. I don't mean to, but Bob made you feel like you were like a long lost family member.
Mm-hmm.
Ron made you feel appreciated, like you wouldn't believe. Like he asked to take a picture with Nick.
Nice, that's great.
Holy shit. And then I was getting something out of the car while I did that. Then I got my picture later. Tom, when I told him what I thought about the Southeastern Continental stuff, he wanted to talk about it and engage me about it, which I thought was, oh my God, how in the hell is this happening? I met Kevin Sullivan at WrestleCade last year, and he wasn't like socializing. He was at his table signing. and he signed his name, didn't sign anything about me. But I did tell him how scared I was of him as a child.
Ah,
I could tell he appreciated that
nice.
because he was scary as hell.
So
Did your parents go through the satanic panic phase like mine did?
no, not so much. Not so much. I think my folks by that point were post church.
Mine weren't. Oh, well, my mother wasn't. My mother's still not post church, but my dad, oh, well, dad's an alcoholic, so it doesn't like he really goes anywhere that doesn't have booze. But
So in my experience, and folks, what Myron's talking about is for what 3 or 4 years in the mid '80s, Kevin was doing like legit. They never used the word satanic, but it was a legit. There for a second, I thought you actually took a swig from the bottle of wine.
I'll have to.
So they never called it satanic, but Kevin Sullivan was doing a straight up satanic gimmick, satanic cult gimmick. But in my experience, and I got to run an angle with Bob Armstrong for Southern Legacy. We ran a couple of shows in a venue out of Glencoe, Alabama, which is right outside Gadsden. Bob came in with Stevie Armstrong, third generation, and Stevie is maybe 175, about 5'9", nice as he can be. Looks pretty much exactly like a cross between Road Dogg and Steve. All right, the genes run strong in that family. All right. And Bob was involved in the angle that we were going to do because Stevie's not polished in the ring. He can work. He is not polished.
That's the hardest thing. From what I've seen of indie guys and watching them through their career development,
Mm-hmm.
they can be really good and they can be really athletic and they can really understand what they're doing. But when they get to that final stage,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere where they just have to be in there just long enough till they get they get the shine on them.
Yeah. Well, what I really wanted to do was take one of Bob's chops.
Oh.
But being the referee, I was hoping that we could work around some way that I would get in the way and accidentally get one and sell the shit out of it. Unfortunately, it didn't work around. Well, we are weird in the wrestling business, right?
I'm not that weird. I'm really not any desire to get hit. What the hell, Bob?
I mean, I just wanted it. I just wanted it. One right there,
Yeah.
But Bob worked a little angle with one of the and I forget who the heel was. I actually remember now. J2 Strong out of Atlanta.
Not
Have you heard? You hadn't heard of this kid? Okay. I believe he's out of Atlanta, maybe AAW.
WWA4.
That, yes.
AR Fox's school downtown. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's a good kid and genuinely as nice as you could want a kid to be. He had never seen a Indian deathlock, and I put one on him during training one day. It was great. Because I'm not a tough guy. I am not a tough guy, which is one of the reasons that I'm a referee, right? You don't want your referee to be tough.
Yeah, I'm a correspondent. Getting it through the barricades. I don't even know if I've been in the ring now that I think about it.
If you have bad knees, I wouldn't advise doing it. Yeah, it's a little springy.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of that to have said, Bob during this, when they're talking about how to put Stevie over, because we bring in the Armstrongs, we're gonna put him over, listening to how to put Stevie over, how to do X, Y, and Z, and Bob doesn't need any direction.
I wouldn't assume so.
No, you give Bob point A, and Bob's like, all right, we'll go through here, B, C, D, all the way to the end. And it was just a pleasure to be in the ring with Bob Armstrong.
I can only imagine.
And I say that it was a pleasure to be in the ring with Jimmy Golden and James Storm. and I took a knee or a shoulder block or something, I forget, from Chase Stevens, if you know who Chase is.
I remember the name.
So, anytime that I get a chance to take a bump, I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah, you're much braver than me about that. You know, it's I'm not encouraging myself for any more injuries.
I try to. I will say this. I got unintentionally hurt just a little bit. Bull Buchanan came into a battle royal, and he was not supposed to be there. Specifically, not in the gimmick that he was supposed to be. Not supposed to be there. It's a work. Anyway,
don't let that out.
It's a work. Anyway, I thought he was going to chuck me over the top rope.
Oh, Jesus.
And this was all, we were just calling it in the ring, right? And Bull is legit about 6'6", and he is a large, strong man. He took a hold of me, and instead of launching me over the top rope, which is where I thought we were going, he tried to throw me through the ropes. By the time my feet left the ring mat, I was like, oh, shit. My face smacked. You may have seen this on my social media stuff. My face smacked the middle rope right here so hard that it just like skimmed here and left a mark that was, visible for almost a week.
Oh, I can imagine.
So I smacked that, bounced back, and then hit the mat and roll out under the ring, like it's killed me. And I'm over here going, 1, 2, 3. Just make sure I got all the chompers.
Oh God!
And I loved it.
Oh well, yeah, I can see. I mean, as a wrestling fan, I understand that, but I'm in no shape anymore to do things like that. But the years of sedentary lifestyle and keyboarding have just absolutely ruined my life.
I get that. It's kind of funny because everybody was coming to check on me because they had seen me take the bad bump. And my only question was ever, how did it look? And did we get it on film? Did we get it on camera? If I'm going to get hurt, if I'm going to get a mark on my face, get it on fucking camera.
Exactly.
All I ask.
Now, I want to go back to Jim Cornette because I'm such a
absolutely.
I met Jim at WrestleCade last year, and he, in person, has to be the nicest human being on the face of this earth.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make him angry then. I made a point because his temper is legendary, and the stories. Now, did you have to tiptoe a little bit when you were interviewing him?
I didn't tiptoe a damn bit. But here's the thing. I think of the wrestling business in a lot of ways the same way that Jim Cornette thinks about it. And I'll be the first to admit it. And in some ways, that's flawed for today, for the product that's more modern, right? I'm not interested in the Young Bucks. I'm not interested in a super kick party.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not interested in the dick spot guy. That holds no. Here's the thing. What interests me is hard-hitting, athletic appearing contests.
Competition.
Yeah.
Competition.
And then guys getting pissed because they either can't beat somebody or can't get what they want and make it a personal issue. And my God, give me that moment where I think this could be real.
Yeah.
Holy shit, this might be real. And you don't reach it by doing a worked shoot. You don't reach it by doing bullshit. You reach it by actually taking what you're doing seriously.
Yeah, and making that emotional connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't get into Ring of Honor or New Japan. Nothing against it.
Mm-hmm.
Not my thing. It's a little bit too legitimate and too legal. I like a little bit of the Gaga, like Pat Patterson says.
Mm-hmm.
I like something that'll interesting. I like a little storyline. I like something that'll draw me in and make me have why I identify with this guy or something like that.
Sure.
And then you can have the match. But the whole us shaking hands after the match and stuff like that. It's lost on me, and I get that. I get that from Cornette. I think I'm probably about 80% Cornette. No, I love Cornette, but as far as looking at today's product, I look at it about 80% Cornette, and probably about 20% Fed for whatever you can get to draw tickets.
Sure. I mean, it's a tough time in the wrestling business because we let everybody in. Yeah. We let everybody behind the curtain. Everybody knows how all the tricks are done. They know, hey, somebody's throwing a punch, it's actually stopping here instead of going, through here, right? Everybody knows that if you're throwing a drop kick on a guy, it's touching them. It's not trying to blast through them. And then when you see a guy who throws one and it just nearly collapses somebody's lung, you're like, oh God. So we've let everybody behind the curtain. Everybody knows our shit. Why would somebody come to a magic show where you're like, hey, and it's not like Penn and Teller where they're like, okay, we're going to explain the trick to you as we do it, and we're so good that you still can't catch us doing it. It's the guy who's going, okay, here's the coin.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I dropped it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we've welcomed amateur hour.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And that drives me nuts, and it makes me the same color as my shirt. So my lovely University of Alabama, Roll Tide.
Tough day for yesterday. Tough day for me yesterday. Man, the dogs took an ass whipping.
Well,
weren't even in it.
I still don't understand that. I'm just kind of like,
well, and I have done nothing but praise Kirby Smart. I begged for Kirby Smart to be our coach for years before he was hired. I still think that. But when he went, he makes good young men. Nick Saban makes champions.
That's absolutely true.
You don't get a T-shirt that says 2018 Good Young Men Champion. Okay,
that's true.
Character builder, best character builder.
Champions of life, like Butch Jones, right?
You get a trophy, and every one of your fans gets to wear a T-shirt. And growing up an Auburn fan in Birmingham, it was life or death. I still remember grown people coming up to me as a child and taunting me for being an Auburn fan. And it's like, that's serious. That's what it should be like. And Kirk brought that to football over here.
Yeah.
And I want to see that. But when he was on 4th and 9, when he on a faked a field goal and gave it to the field goal kicker, to run it in, not even toss it in, to run it in, that kid looked like he was a ball in high weeds, man. It was that turned the whole momentum of the whole game, and it wasn't the same.
When I saw that, my initial thought, and this is going to sound mean, was like, y'all could have kept Mark Richt and that money that you spent on Kirby. You could have kept Mark Richt and saved some money. That's all I'm saying. It would have been the same thing.
No, we wouldn't have made it to the SEC championship. Damn sure wouldn't have made it to the national championship last year.
Right.
I believe we have the capacity to finally be on a level with Alabama now. It's going to take another year or two for us to get shit right. Last year, we had the perfect storm of talented running backs. And that carried us in places where things could have got, you could have done that without those guys.
Well, I think Jake Fromm's a heck of a quarterback.
All my friends are like, pull him. I'm like, hell no, don't pull him. You're going to ruin his confidence. Leave him in there. Let him work through it. I mean,
have you got somebody better waiting in the wings?
Got one of those, well, a lot like y'all, we've got the running quarterback, the guy who can run around. But Alabama can do two quarterbacks. I don't think anybody on earth can ever do a two quarterback situation the way Nick Saban has and save it every time and win a national championship.
It was really funny to me. I saw a Twitter account, not SportsCenter, say basically, in the chaos yesterday, Washington lost. West Virginia lost. So-and-so lost. So-and-so lost. Notre Dame almost lost. So-and-so almost lost. And then Alabama almost had to punt twice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean.
But it was good. Auburn lose, even if it was to Tennessee?
Well, I mean, it's like that was like two mules fighting over a turnip, as you've seen me say.
I don't know that sometimes it's even that high a stakes.
I wish they could have both lost personally.
That says a tie is like kissing your sister, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I don't care you had to kiss. I just hate. I mean, I hate Auburn just naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee is a tough group of people to like.
Yeah,
One of the
it's
most
a
fan bases in sports.
it's an orange you can't sit with,
Yes.
as they say. You know, it's kind of that orange like you have on your mic right there in front of you.
Well, that's my old school like big fuzzy mic thing, like the old guys used to have.
Right.
Speaking of this, okay, I saw Mean Gene signing autographs. You know what
Mhm.
Mean autograph goes for now?
What?
8x10, $30.
Nice.
Now, if you get a mic with one of these little these windscreens on it,
Hmm.
on a cheap mic, like a used mic you probably picked up at Goodwill, $50.
Wow.
Was commanding, and he was doing a lot of business at the show. And I'm like, God, I want his autograph so bad. I
Hmm.
made you an autograph, but $30 is $30. So I got Paul Orndorff for 10 back there, and I mean, Paul looks bad, but it might be the last time to see him.
Hmm.
I'll see Gene at WrestleCade this year, so I'll get a second chance at it with more money.
Nice. Oh, by the way, somebody that I haven't done the story yet, but somebody that you do not know that I got to interview, part of the original Midnight Express, Randy Rose.
Oh man, he was at a signing here at a barbecue restaurant a while back. Mr. Wrestling 2 came in.
Oh, wow.
Randy was just showed up.
Nice.
I didn't get to go, so Nick went, and then my girlfriend and my son went, and they got me the Mr. Wrestling 2, but they weren't prepared to get Randy Rose or know what Randy was. Yeah, Randy Rose was there from the Norville, Austin, and
Yep.
did you hear about Dennis Condrey?
Yes, I did. So let me stick with Randy for just a second, okay? He gave me a terrific interview. Kayfabed me a little bit, but not a ton. When he found out I knew what I was talking about a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mentioned a couple of guys that he held in really high regard, like Ken Lucas. So I got to interview him and talk with him for just absolutely so a sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah.
And I've really got to. I'm going to try to do a story for PWS about the forgotten member of the Midnights. So I think that'll be pretty good. But love that guy to death. Nice as he can be. Remind me when we're off camera. I'll try to get you. I've got his phone number around here somewhere.
Awesome. That'd be great. Is he local over here in Atlanta?
He is in Georgia. He is in Western Georgia. I believe he is, if I'm not bad mistaken, he is maybe Noonan, I think.
Not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
A lot of wrestling in that Rome area and over to the northwest of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Going on. We got good promotions over here on the east side because I'm east of Atlanta, and I got some really good promotions. I've got everything from some people that'll run like an ECW type thing, old school promotions that run, the heel, it's all traditional. We got Robert Gibson's promotion, which if you've ever been to a traditional wrestling show where the baby faces come out of the different locker rooms and then they can't contact each other after the show or before the show, it's awesome to see.
That's great. Have you met Big Sean Sims? African American guy, wears purple.
I know who he is, but I have not met him.
Heck of a talent. Heck of a talent. We've had him in for SLW some. Good guy in the locker room, knows his shit. He's one of Robert's trainees.
Yeah. That's where I've seen him. I saw him on Robert's show, and then I've seen him on Robert's cards.
Nice. Good deal.
A lot of the wrestlers on the west side of Atlanta work Alabama more than they do over where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you got a lot of guys who are coming, like SLW shows. You have a ton of guys who are just coming from inside the perimeter. A lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of wrestling schools in Atlanta. WA4 is downtown. QT Marshall from Ring of Honor is running a school with Glacier
Nice.
Marshall, and they're doing it at the Chip Smith Performance Center, which is where professional athletes go to prepare for like the NFL Combine, and it's a pretty big deal. And they've got a really good program there, and we go out and hang out with them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
UT is a fascinating guy, but he also happens to be the busiest human being on face of earth. It's like he's working here and he's working there, and then he does acting on the side.
Nice.
He's been an extra on Ozarks. I haven't watched the show, but everybody says it's a great show. He does little things like that, and then he teaches at the school, and then he does producing. He ran Gorilla on All In.
Nice.
So it was
great.
He's a great guy, fascinating guy. He's also he is not one to bullshit. He typically tells you exactly what's
nice,
which is always good to see.
Nice. Speaking of All In and shows like that, I will be in Nashville, Tennessee. I will be going to the 70th anniversary card of the NWA.
Yes.
The National Wrestling Alliance.
Yes, I am super jealous over that. I'm going to be covering it, or are you going to?
I'm going to be covering it, and I am also potentially backstage in a role that I cannot talk about.
I don't need to know. I don't go behind the curtain very much. You know, a little tease every once in a while is good with me, but you just keep that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Even if I was just running jackets back and forth, I'd be happy to be involved.
Oh yeah, a guy told me the other day. He goes, "Well, you know, I'm going to drop the title on X date at so." I said, "Don't tell me that. I don't want to know. You're going to ruin it, because if I pay to go to that show and I know you're going to drop the title, I won't pay to go to that show."
Yeah. Why would you, right?
Keep me in the dark. I've done a couple things where I've known results. I did sound one time at a show, and they gave me a front sheet, and I'm like, holy shit.
Well, hey, listen, I hate to say this, but it sounds like that my garage door just opened, so I have a wife and children coming back, so
I know the drill.
Probably need to see you guys later.
It was a pleasure. I'm glad I got you on. We had some good insider knowledge on this one, so I'm glad to hear it. Where can they find you, Bob?
You can find me on Twitter at Bama Writer, WRITER, not RIDER. You can find me at Bobby Mathews on Facebook. It's at Bob the Writer. You can see me every week on Fight TV and on YouTube. Look up Southern Legacy Wrestling on Fight TV. I will be on your TV somewhere in some of those shows. And also, I have to say, if you get a chance, look at Johnny Slaughter versus Brad Savage House of Horrors match, which has been a single release on YouTube by SLW. It is, if you like the Final Deletion stuff with Matt Hardy, you'll like this.
Okay, I will definitely look into that.
All right. You guys
look forward to having you on again. I actually look forward to seeing this show. I've got to get over to see SLW.
Absolutely do.
I'm super excited about what y'all are doing over there.
Hey, let me know when you want to come. I will make sure you get on the list. We'll put you right up front.
I like to actually sit in journal admission. I hate to say it.
Oh, no, I'm going to have somebody dump someone in your lap.
Oh, I see.
All right. Hey, have a great one.
I fell down on carpet at work the other day, and I thought I was going to have to follow where Wisconsin claimed. So you can imagine, I'm not the one to take a bump.
Nice. All right.
Bob, I'll see you later, and thank you so much for coming on today.
Same here. I enjoyed it. Take care of yourself.
Bye bye.